I have to ask, are NFL defenses really that bad? Anyways, today we're going to go ahead and recap the week one. Football's finally back. Gotta love it. Week one in the books now. After both Monday night games concluded. Very glad. Very good week in football. But it's a typical week one. I'm going to preface this by saying I don't know if I actually have an accurate depiction of any of the teams in the league right now. Week one is so hard to get any sort of judgment on any team, and there's a couple reasons for that. I think the main reason, obviously, is because these first-team offenses and first-team defenses don't play together in the preseason at all. So for a lot of people, this is the first time playing with that team at all. A lot of these people are new rookies. These are guys that the previous starters haven't been playing with. And a lot of people might not think, isn't it more talent-based than it is necessarily coaching or teamwork? And that's absolutely completely wrong. And I think a good example of that would be like, let's say, the New England Patriots. This is the first year they've actually had a star-studded cast, and I mean star-freaking-studded. But they're coached so well that they always end up doing well no matter what goes in their way. But teams that aren't coached well, I think you can see the difference. They usually struggle really bad in week one because they haven't played well with these teams. They haven't played with these players at all, and they're just not familiar. So we're going to go ahead, go team by team, and look at some noteworthy points here on each team in the league. See if we have anything that we can actually justify judging a team based off of. We're going to start with Thursday night's game, Packers-Bears. On the Bears side, where's the offense? My gosh. I'm going to judge this. I'm going to blame this primarily on the point I said previously. These players are rusty, and they didn't see many snaps in the preseason. This first-team offense altogether did not see any snaps together in the preseason. I know that for a fact. And I think that's really it. Packers defense, I'm just going to be honest with you. They looked very good. But what's the reason for that? As someone who's a fan of the Packers, I know for a fact this defense has been awful. So many missed tackles, always. They're always top 5 in missed tackles. It's just what they are, at least in the past 5 years. Obviously, new defensive coordinator. Dom Capers fired. So I think overall, the Bears just... it was pitiful. The whole game was pitiful. It was just an awful start to the season, just because there was no... It just looked like the team just didn't know what they were doing. And the Bears especially, Mitchell Trubisky looked awful. And I don't think it's unfair to say that he looked awful. 26 of 45, 228 yards, and a pick. So, I also need to preface just as saying there were a lot of passes thrown this week. A crazy amount of passes thrown. A lot of quarterbacks just absolutely went off this week. We'll get into that, obviously, as we go through. But as you see, Trubisky threw 45 passes, only completed 26 of those for 228 yards. And a pick. Not good. Not looking good. The Bears looked awful. The only bright side they have is their defense. Their defense still looked good. So overall, I'm going to say I can't make a judgment on these Bears yet. I don't think they're as bad as 3 points a game. I know that for a fact. So I don't think this game's a fair judgment of them. Matt Nagy, obviously a lot of people have a big belief in Matt Nagy's system. And it's easy to make Mitchell Trubisky successful in Matt Nagy's system. Overall, as a quarterback, I don't think Trubisky's that gifted. I don't think his ceiling's very high. I think he's a very athletic quarterback. I just don't think his quarterback skills The ceiling's not that high. As far as on the Packers side, ugly game, obviously. First game with Matt LaFleur. Got his first win as head coach of the Packers. It looked ugly, though. Some key notes. Obviously, Matt LaFleur's offense is a run-first offense. Just isn't working against the Bears, and it did not work against the Bears. The time they finally got a touchdown was a drive that they let Aaron Rodgers just sling it the whole drive. And what a shocker. They scored a touchdown. As far as sling it, I would say concerning. Two of the passes were what I would consider jump balls. Obviously, the touchdown to Jimmy Graham was certainly a jump ball. I don't like those kind of plays, but if you believe your guy's better, I guess that's perfectly fine. I wasn't too impressed with the Packers' offense. I've been super hyped about what LaFleur might bring, but overall, that Packers offense just didn't look good. Defense did look good. That's the point of emphasis there. I think that offense, obviously Aaron Rodgers didn't take a single snap in preseason at all, so it'll take a while for them to figure it out. I love Aaron Jones as a running back. He's a very talented guy, so I think the Packers will be just fine in the end, but I don't think that this game is a good judgment of them. Titans-Browns. What happened to the Browns? Are they the Browns again? I don't know. I don't want to say they're the Browns again, but they looked like the Browns again. They looked very much like the Browns again. Baker Mayfield threw 3 pickies. 38 passes total. Again, a lot of passes thrown. 3 picks. And needless to say, they lost 43-13 against the Titans. The Titans, in my opinion, at least as of the last 2 years, they've been weak teams. Obviously injury-ridden. Mariota seems like he's somewhat carrying the team, but he's always injured. He's a very talented player. He's just injured all the time. Are the Titans that good? No. I don't think it's fair at all. As far as the Browns are concerned, Odell had a quiet day. They just had a quiet day on offense as a whole. It just wasn't good. It looked awful for the Browns. And I'm going to just chalk that up to being the Browns. I hate to say it, but if you look historically, they're awful in week ones over the past 20 years. They're just awful in week ones. I don't know why. Probably because they're the Browns, but I think the Browns are going to be fine, and they're still, I think, overall a very good team. And I think they're going to be very good. So I don't think you can make a judgment based off this week. Obviously, Browns' defense is known for takeaways. They didn't even manage to do much of that this game. Just a disappointing game for the Browns, and I think they'll turn around week 2. Titans, are they that good? Debatable. Derrick Henry obviously went off. 75-yard screen pass he caught for a touchdown. 84 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. Derrick Henry, I don't think overall is that good of a back. But the Titans still went off. Overall, I'm not going to say this is good news for the Titans. I don't think this is going to be something that keeps up. Obviously, Mariota's got to stay healthy. He took a few hits for sure, but I just don't see it staying. Titans fans, obviously there's reason to get excited, but I wouldn't get too excited. It was the Browns, and Baker kind of sucked. So you got gifted a win there for sure. Ravens and Dolphins. When did a running back learn how to throw, huh? Overall, I'm just kidding, obviously. This was crazy game. Very crazy game. Lamar Jackson went off in the first half, which is all he really played. Because why would he need to play anymore? And he was extremely efficient. 20 passes thrown only. 324 yards, 5 touchdowns. Just look at that stat line. That is crazy. Crazy stat line. Especially if you think about Lamar. Last season he threw 8 touchdowns total. And no picks. That's fantastic. Lamar was playing so well. The thing that was weird is he had 3 rushes for 6 yards. So I don't know if he's been training specifically in the offseason to work on his passing. Overall, I've never been a huge fan of his passing, but I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say it's because the Dolphins are that bad. And I know previously I've been bailing out the other teams that have been playing awful, but the Dolphins really are that bad of a team, that bad of a defense. I don't think, obviously this isn't going to keep up. Lamar Jackson's not going to have those kind of games every week. This is obviously a career game for him. And he's not going to have those kind of games again. The Ravens aren't going to put up 59 points again this season. That's for sure. I think overall, this game is entirely decided by that awful Dolphins team. And you can tell what I think was crazy. Marquise Brown, Antonio Brown's cousin. My gosh. Kid, first 2 passes he caught, first 2 catches were both touchdowns, 50-plus yards. Insane. He ended up with 147 yards and 2 touchdowns on just 4 receptions. So Marquise Brown, I think, is going to be very good for these Ravens. I think he will, but the offense is not going to keep up that kind of heat. That's just my opinion. Obviously, Mark Ingram had a very good game, too. The Ravens just dominated this game on all fronts. Even RG3 threw a pass touchdown, which I think is fantastic. I love RG3, so I'm glad to see him throw a passing touchdown. But I'm just going to say, if RG3 in his current state is throwing passing touchdowns against the Dolphins, it's kind of disappointing. Josh Rosen came in for a little bit. Obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick has the start, but Josh Rosen came in for a little bit in the fourth quarter. He looked awful. Ryan Fitzpatrick looked awful. The Dolphins are an awful team. I'm just going to throw that one out there. I'm going to say it's going to be tough to seeing the Dolphins get over 3 wins this year, the way they played, against the Ravens, who honestly are not that strong of a team. That's all I have to say about the Dolphins. It's just, bad team. Falcons, Vikings. So I would say the Vikings are the only team that I think I would be okay with saying I actually got a good depiction of how they're going to play. Dalvin Cook went off this game. He looked healthy. He looked great. Every play he was busting out runs, and he was running strong. He was very elusive this game. He just looked good. He looked very good. What was weird was, obviously I talked about how many passes were thrown by a lot of these quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins threw 10 passes. I mean, my gosh. It's crazy. The guy that they have paid historical amounts of money had very minimal impact on the game in terms of his passing. But it doesn't matter how much you pass as long as you win. That's what matters. And Dalvin absolutely secured that. On top of that, the Falcons sucking also secured that. So Matt Ryan, obviously, he's Matt Ryan. He's this kind of guy always. He's one of the better fantasy quarterbacks because he just puts up good stat lines. 33 of 46. Again, 46 passes is a lot. 304 yards, 2 touchdowns. Overall, you look at that. That's not a bad game. But then you look at the fact that they lost 28-12, and all 12 points came in the fourth quarter. Yeah. That's not what we want to see. Obviously, we got to bail out Julio Jones' touchdown in garbage time, because why wouldn't we? Julio Jones needs his stats after his contract. New contract was signed, so that's lovely. But I think the Vikings are going to be a good team this year, and I think they showed it this week. The Falcons, I think, are going to be way better than they played this week, though. All right. Bills and Jets. What can I say? Ugly game. Just an ugly game. Both teams looked awful. I mean, as you can see here, only 6 points through the first half. It's just a disgusting game. And you know it's a weird game when Josh Allen is throwing 37 passes. Guy's got a strong arm, but he's usually not the kind of guy you want to lead that team with his arm at the end of the game, but he did. Very big comeback for them. it's crazy they scored those 17 points and ended up winning. I'm impressed with the Bills in the fourth quarter. Does that mean anything? I don't know. Both defenses looked better than they are, obviously, because both offenses were just that bad. I don't think there's a great takeaway from this besides I was super excited about the Jets, and they just looked awful. I think the Jets have a high ceiling this year, and I think they can be a very good team. Sam Darnold's a very talented guy. Josh Allen's a very talented guy. I just think the Jets are definitely the better team. It's just a disappointing game for the Jets. They just look bad on all fronts. On all fronts. I think the Jets will turn around, though. But the Bills, they're going to be a mediocre team this year. I don't think there's any way around that. So, one note, obviously, rookie Devin Singletary, 4 carries, 70 yards, pretty exciting for him. That's always good news. He was very efficient with the ball. Redskins, Eagles, very good game. As you look by the score breakdown, this game was over at halftime, 20-7. Redskins were on top. Eagles looked awful. But then, the Eagles kicked in, and they started to play in that second half, and the Redskins started to suck in that second half. And it's all about that momentum. So the Eagles came back and ended up winning 32-27. As far as noteworthy things here, Case Keenum absolutely tore it up in that first half. Obviously, you see for the game, he was 30 of 44, 380 yards and 3 touchdowns. Great game for Case Keenum. I really like Case Keenum. I think he's a very talented guy, but he sucked in the fourth quarter, and there's no way around it. The ageless Darren Sproles, 9 carries, 47 yards. Gotta love it. And Deshaun Jackson went off. Talk about ageless. Deshaun's been in the league forever. And he went off today. 2 very long touchdown passes, or catches, that is. Deshaun just went off. My gosh, he had a very good game, and it looked like a very good Eagles team in the second half at least. So if the Eagles can manipulate what they did, recreate what they did in that second half, they're going to be a very good team. And I think the Eagles will be a very good team this year. They're very talented. Redskins, it's tough to say. They looked very good in that first half, and then they just looked awful. I think Case Keenum is going to be very good. Redskins are going to be a very middle-of-the-road team this year, so can't really have much takeaway besides the fact that Case Keenum proved his worth. I know that. Rams-Panthers, 30-27. Rams win. Very good game here. Ended up being a very back and forth towards the end there. Obviously, no points in the first quarter. Looked very ugly. Then the Rams started to show some life on offense. Again, Cam Newton threw 38 passes. A lot of passes for him. No touchdowns. 239 yards, 25 completions. But the story of the game, obviously, is Christian McCaffrey. The guy's a beast. Everyone knows that. I went against him in fantasy in both my leagues. Needless to say, I mean, he's the leader in both rushing and receiving. So, what do you want me to say? 81 yards receiving, 128 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns. He's Christian McCaffrey. It looked like he was going to end up carrying this game back for these Panthers, and they were going to win. But didn't end that way. In the end, the Panthers offense sputtered out, and the Rams just got to end up taking knees and win the game. The Rams look very good. The Panthers look very good, and I think both teams are going to be very good this year. So, overall, I think these teams were pretty accurately depicted. Obviously, Panthers are all Christian McCaffrey is their team for the most part right now. Cam obviously can be. It depends on how his arm's doing. His arm strength looked good. I was concerned. His arm strength looked pretty good. Jared Goff looked the exact same. Jared Goff making terrible reads, underthrowing and overthrowing wide open guys. But he was inconsistent, but he still played well. That's all I can say about that. Todd Gurley, with his old man arthritis knees, still looked good as well. Alrighty. Chiefs, Jags. I was excited for this one, mostly because Nick Foles, my guy Nick Foles, playing for the Jags this year, or not. Yikes! Threw a beautiful dime. That first touchdown there in the first quarter, threw a dime, and he broke his clavicle on the same play because he got smashed right as he did it. But it was a great pass, pretty much ending the Jags season. Let's be honest. It's crazy. I was very excited for the Jags. Their defense looked awful, though. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes tore them up. 25 passes, or 25 completions, 33 attempts, 378 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Vast majority of that was all in the first half, so they went off, as they do. High-flying offense of the Chiefs. Noteworthy thing here would be, obviously, Tyreek Hill went off with a shoulder injury. He's suspected to miss several weeks. He had to go have emergency care done. So I'm not sure exactly what necessarily happened to him, but he had to have emergency care done. It doesn't look good, and he's going to be missing several weeks for sure. So that's going to slow the Chiefs down just a little bit at least. But they have plenty of options. Obviously, Sammy Watkins. Guess who was going against him in fantasy? It's your boy. 9 receptions, 198 yards, and 3 touchdowns. What a stud. What a stud. He went off. Sammy Watkins went off. But I would say the Jags just looked awful tackling. Their tackling was awful this game. Is their defense that bad? I hope not. They got so many good players. Myles Jack got ejected too. They just looked awful. The Jags looked awful. Undisciplined. Just a very bad outing for them. Obviously, Gardner Minshew ended up coming in for the Jags quarterback. He looked very good. Threw 11 straight completions. Very good. He looked good, but just a dink and dunk kind of guy. I don't think he's going to be much for them, but obviously Gardner Minshew is kind of the way for now until they figure something out. They're probably going to try to pick someone up in free agency I could see coming up shortly. So that's exciting. Not much to say for the Chiefs-Jags. Obviously, Chiefs are who we thought they were. Great offense, as usual. And the Jags sucked. Colts-Chargers. Jacoby Brissett looked very good for the Colts. And I got to be honest, I thought they were going to win it. I was very excited for them to win it. Marlon Mack went ahead and put up 174 yards with a touchdown. Very good game for Marlon Mack, obviously. I thought the Colts were coming back to win this one. The Chargers got ahead pretty steadily, and then it looked like the Colts were going to come back and win it. They ended up tying it and sending it to overtime with a 2-point conversion. And on the first drive, the Chargers scored a touchdown. Wow. So disappointing when you make that comeback and then you just lose on that first drive. But overall, that Chargers offense was looking good. I think both teams look very good, very accurate to how they're going to play in the rest of the year. So Chargers had a very good offense. Colts had a very good offense too, actually. Wow. Very good offense. I feel good for the Chargers and Colts. Bengals Seahawks. A lot closer game than I anticipated. I thought the Bengals were going to come out with this one, actually. But they didn't. What a shocker. It's the Bengals. So we know who they are. Andy Dalton threw 51 passes. My gosh. I'm telling you, there's a lot of passes thrown. Russell Wilson did not, on the other hand. But Andy Dalton had 418 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looked very good. Andy Dalton looked very sharp. Very sharp. He was throwing some rockets. And it looked very good for Andy Dalton. I was very impressed. That offense looked good. It did. But they were definitely missing some pieces. Obviously, no A.J. Green. You're missing that major playmaker, but John Ross was that playmaker today. 158 yards, 2 tutties. He looked good. For Seattle, they just looked Seattle looked rough. They did end up coming out with that win, but I thought they should have won this one pretty handily. They just looked pretty rough on offense, very stagnant. Obviously couldn't put up any points in the first quarter, but I was more excited for that Seahawks offense than what they did. Tyler Lockett had a couple big drops. He obviously got a touchdown pass as well, but he had a couple big drops. It just didn't look fantastic as far as Seahawks are concerned. Chris Carson didn't play super well. Obviously, Mike Davis is back up. Not that good. That was last year, but yeah, that's about all I have to say about Bengals Seahawks. Giants Cowboys. Giants are who we thought they were, and the Cowboys have a great offense. Are we shocked? We knew this was going to be the case. Cowboys played very well. Dak played a lot better than I anticipated it. He played very well. Dak played very well. I'll give him that. I'm not a huge Dak Prescott fan, but obviously 405 yards, 4 touchdowns. Guy played a heck of a game. Amari Cooper obviously was a big part of that. Amari Cooper went off with a couple touchdowns. Michael Gallup, rookie receiver Michael Gallup, 158 yards. He looked very good. No shocker. Zeke was kind of a non-factor in the game. If you look statistically over his first couple of years, it just happens to be that way. He's statistically a non-factor in the first 2 games of the year, but then he goes off. I don't know necessarily what that is, but he carried the ball 10 times, got 10 touches. So not much to say for Zeke, but that offense still did very well without him. So needless to say, look very good if you're a Cowboys fan. If you're a Giants fan, you better be worried. Is it time for Daniel Jones? I don't know. He came in for a little bit in that fourth quarter and fumbled. What a shocker. Eli didn't look great. He definitely didn't look great. But he looked better than I anticipated, actually. So I'm saying there's not any hope for the Giants winning anything, obviously, and I think we all knew that. But overall, they can be an okay team. This is an infuriating one. Lions-Cardinals tied. Kyler Murray, first NFL start for the number 1 overall pick. Yeah, he looked awful. I mean, it's definitely not an understatement to say that Kyler Murray and his offense just looked horrific until the fourth quarter. This was one heck of a game. So it looked like the Lions just had this one easily. They were smoking them. Even the Lions' offense wasn't looking that good, but the Cardinals' defense looked bad. It was just rough. And the Cardinals couldn't put up anything on offense. But then we kick it into that fourth quarter, and something magical happens. I don't know what it was, but something just sparked, and someone wanted to have a vintage moment in them. Kyler went off. Larry Fitzgerald went off. Had several fantastic catches. One very big one in OT. So they ended up tying it up, getting the 2-point conversion. Larry scored on a flat route, and then the 2-point conversion was on another flat route as well. So very nice. Obviously, Larry Fitzgerald. He's Larry Fitzgerald. He catches the what will be the game-tying touchdown and just hands the ball off to the ref and walks back to the huddle. What a guy. Loved Larry Fitzgerald. If you don't, you're crazy. And he deserved this win. He didn't get it, though. So in overtime, Cardinals get first possession. With how hot they were, I thought for sure they were scoring a touchdown. They stalled out, though. Scored just a field goal. And then the Lions get the ball back, and they stormed on the field pretty well. But, again, they sputter out. Field goal. So the Cardinals come back. Last drive of the game. This is it. 3rd down. And needless to say, Kyler Murray throws a absolute dime to Larry Fitzgerald, who sprawls out. My gosh, he made one heck of a catch in this overtime game. And I thought that was it. But it wasn't it. The Cardinals ended up shooting themselves in the foot, and they lost it. They lost it as a team. They had the chance to get this game-winning field goal, but they ended up getting knocked out of field goal range, and it ended up being a tie. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. No one wants a tie. I know I don't. The craziest part is the Cardinals had to punt it away, and Matthew Stafford, being Matthew Stafford, threw the ball. I mean, this is crazy. They were setting up for Hail Mary, 8 seconds left. Matthew Stafford threw the ball with maybe 5 seconds left, right into the defender's hand, and he dropped it. And it would have put them in field goal range if he just dropped right there, which he could have ran for another 2 seconds, 3 seconds, gained a few more yards to make it easier, and then that. But he dropped it. He dropped the literal game-winning pick. I gotta feel bad for him. Kyler deserved this win, and his reaction on the sideline was priceless, obviously. It was so disappointing. But they should have won it on that first drive anyways, and their second drive. Yikes. David Johnson didn't have a crazy good game rushing, a little bit under 100 yards, but receiving, he did catch a receiving touchdown this game. TJ Hawkinson broke the record for rookie tight ends in terms of yardage. Looked like a beast, like we all thought he was going to be. So, very good game. I just hate that it ended in a tie. I wish we could have double overtime again, and someone could actually win this game. So, 49ers Bucks. 49ers Bucks, I mean, let's just be honest. Both teams look rough. 49ers offense just looked very bad, and they still did throughout the game. But you're asking, well, it's 31-17. What happened? Jameis Winston is a turnover machine. This guy is a turnover machine, and what a shocker. He threw a game-losing pick to end the game. Threw 2 pick sixes. What a shocker. It's pitiful. Jameis turns the ball over so much. It's crazy that he still has a starting job, and I think this is going to be his last year that he gets the chance to do it. New head coach with Bruce Arians, so it should be easier for him to succeed, but I just don't think he will. It's Jameis Winston. He's been struggling. I'm surprised he still has a starting job. But if you're a 49ers fan, that offense looked bad. A lot of people are always super hyped about Jimmy Garoppolo, saying he's the next Tom Brady. I just don't know if I've ever seen it yet. Obviously, he got injured last year towards ACL, was out the whole season after week 3, and he's back. He just doesn't look that sharp, making bad decisions, threw picks. It just didn't look good. The Bucks, they just looked horrendous. Couldn't move the ball on offense. It was a rough game. Very rough game. I don't think either team out of this looks good at all, but they can turn it around. Steelers-Patriots. Do I need to say anything besides the score, 33-3? Steelers look like a hot mess. I don't even know if they're a hot mess. They're a garbage fire. How about that? And the Patriots look like the Patriots. They came out. They did what they had to do. They played super well. Tom Brady, 24 of 36, with 341 yards and 3 touchdowns. Very efficient game. No one did too much. Philip Dorsett had a breakout game. 4 receptions, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Josh Gordon scored a touchdown. Very exciting. On a slant, he broke it off, broke a tackle, and ended up scoring. That's always exciting for Josh Gordon. And Antonio Brown didn't even play this week. So Antonio Brown, a new member of the Patriots, didn't even play this week, and they still won this 33-3. Steelers looked awful. And I hate to say that I think they're going to be awful this year. I just don't think the Steelers are going to be that kind of a power team like they have been previously this year. Aging Big Ben. I don't think they're going to be the same team this year, obviously. They're going to be a good team, just not that same power team they have been. But Patriots are the Patriots. Steelers look like a garbage fire. Those are the takeaways from that game. Texans Saints. Very good game. Fantastic game last night. First of the 2 Monday night games. This was an absolute shootout. Obviously, forget the first quarter. Turned into an absolute shootout. Breeze against Watson. Deshaun Watson looked sharp. He looked very good. Very athletic. Obviously, there was a scare on his rushing touchdown when he potentially hurt his back. A lot of concern. He was in the training tent for a while, but he came out and he was slinging the ball. I'm very impressed with Deshaun Watson. Led a game-winning drive, left 48 seconds on the clock. They were up by 1, and Drew Brees happened. Drew Brees came in clutch mode with 1 timeout. They had clocked the ball twice, but they ended up getting a good field goal range, and Will Lutz hits a 58-yard field goal, a very far field goal. My gosh, very far field goal. Alvin Kamara had a very good game, obviously, for New Orleans. Drew Brees, 370 yards passing. Michael Thomas, 10 receptions. Obviously, he's been the leading receiver on this team for a while, and he still is. It just felt like they were throwing the ball to him all the time. Taysom Hill caught one of those passes. That's always exciting. Taysom Hill's one of those mystery guys. You never know what he's doing, but he's always doing something. Good game. Saints look good. Texans look really good. I think Texans are gonna be good this year. Saints as well, obviously. Broncos Raiders, surprisingly good game. The Raiders came out and they wanted to win this game, and they did. 24-16. The Broncos looked horrific. Joe Flacco just looked, I don't know, dink and dunk. That's all I could say. A lot of short passes, as you can see, 21 of 31 for 268 yards and a touchdown. Didn't look good. I kind of expected it. Joe Flacco's a quote-unquote elite quarterback, but he's always not been he's definitely not the best passer. This is just a fact of life, and we're going to face it. Yeah, Broncos looked awful here. I'm just going to be honest. Not much to look forward to besides Courtland Sutton. Guy's got very good hands. As far as the Raiders are concerned, I think this is a very good win for them. I think they're going to be a bad team this year, though. I hate to say that after a good win. Some major talent in Josh Jacobs now. He looked extremely athletic last night. And Derek Carr was throwing some absolute rockets. His arm looked very sharp. I think Derek Carr looked very good. Very good. But I think the Ravens or the Raiders aren't going to be that good of a team. That's just me. Obviously, lost Antonio Brown. They really just don't have that many playmakers, and I don't think it's unfair to say they won't be that good this year, but very good win overall. So those are my takeaways from Week 1. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have anything else you'd like to add. But that's all I got.